Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me. Polina here, talking to you a little bit about this particular moon. So we have a new moon coming up on the 11th of January, which is going to be approximately in about 4 days. And we definitely do not have that much time to decide on things. We do have Mars very close to the moon as well, and of course the Sun and Pluto is quite close by, and Mercury is close to Mars. It's very, very hard. We have to do things very fast. Some people have to decide very quickly what they're going to do. If you watched my January video, that would have prepared you for the thinking pattern probably that is necessary during this time if you want to get the most. So it's basically about coming back to the backbone of your life, understanding where the worth is, where the comforts are, understanding where the opportunities are. So it's about lucrative opportunities. It's about brand new beginnings, sometimes with certain people, family and friends. It's about seeing things in a bright, new, raw, and uncensored way. It's about being honest, definitely. It's about being true. It's about being in tune, and it's about having the best. So the whole thing, the whole opportunity level is very, very high. It's just about claiming the right space very fast. And I think that honesty will get you there faster than anything else. That means that being epic and rude sometimes is not the way. Most people, I feel, are kind of going through a window where certain things can escalate, or elevation of certain ideas and propositions can actually cause a plummet of other things. And I see that some people are gambling with life, and certain people don't have any other options than this or that. But basically, all you got to be is honest, and all you got to be is real. The more robust, honest, and true you are about yourself and your life, and the more no nonsense you are about the truth and what is real, the better you are going to be off in this window. Things are going to escalate really fast. MC is aligned with Mercury and Mars, and there's going to be a lot of gifts, and there's going to also be a lot of people benefiting very, very quickly and getting really, really sure of ourselves, and becoming also sometimes occasionally very praised or very seen for good, strong, and unnervous decisions. So if you can be straightforward, if you can be solid, if you can be real, if you can work within a certain alpha frequency, I guess, if you want to make very adult and very strong decisions, this is definitely the time to succeed, and also the time to diminish, or time to abort mission. Definitely for quite a lot of people, it's just not gonna be any longer interesting to have certain ideas in their life, to be a part of certain groups and collectives, to take care of certain individuals, or to pay certain bills. For certain people, it is going to be almost near impossible to do some things. It is just going to take them such a long time to have to unglue certain things, or certain methods of work, methods of life, like things that they've sort of stuck together that don't mean anything, and they don't matter anymore. And it's really obvious. It's like, wow, this has no meaning, this has no purpose. Like, why do I have all these things in my house? Why do I store this in my garage? Like, why? Like, what's the point of doing things the long way around? And it's going to be very zany and very quick as to how somebody else might help you. So sometimes it's really good to see an expert, or a person with a different interpretation of your reality. Don't be afraid of harsh words and humor. So if somebody's laughing at you and going, ha ha ha, I shouldn't have even done that in the first place, oh my gosh, this is so silly, don't be worried if people are a little bit rude, a little bit comical, because, yeah, I mean, I suppose to some degree, truth and rudeness are close together. Being very true and suddenly lifting that energy, levitating that frequency, and seeing the world for what it is a hard yard for some, because you see, we've been playing these games, we've been forcing ourselves to focus on things in such a pure and caring way. And Rabbit was all about keeping things together, being silenced, being silent, being still, being humble, being careful, and also being very good to one another. And then all of a sudden, this can very easily change within a minute. And sometimes a little joke, a big laugh, or just a real realization of what things are and what they're going to be later on in the future is going to really force you to think of your life in a different way. So it is about a rude awakening for some people, especially if you've been holding on to something or somebody all your life, or you've been trying so very, very hard to be good, especially if you've been trying to push yourself underneath and not surface. So these are the themes that are really, really harsh for us today. Being silenced, being quiet, being comfortable, trying to do the best you can with what you've got, changing your philosophies to fit other people's philosophies, trying to do as good as you can in a group of people, making sure that nobody's hurt, making sure that every single person in the game has your side, and making a very, very good to do, solid kind of life that doesn't actually have enough innocence and brilliance within it. So, the worst case scenario is if you're actually looking to each side of your life, if you're recognizing that actually most of these things are kind of very naive, how you've been working with your marriage, or how you've been working with your friends, or what the social world requires of you seems very, very meek, or very, very subdued, or even like wholeheartedly committal. Like you got to commit and you got to be there, and you got to, try and praise somebody else. You got to like be lower than somebody else, and you got to lower your standards to just participate in a story. And if you're understanding that there's a big lowering of your standard, of your vibration, to be able to handle a certain um, story, and you're really realizing that there is like a big plummet of your frequency, and you just like, you have like no idea how to handle it, make sure that you think about this now. Like, what would you do without it? Like, for example, if you have a lot of friends that are requiring you to act a certain way, and to see them in a certain way, and to play this little role play with them. Role playing is huge this month, by the way. Role playing, fakery, bigotry, all of that kind of stuff. And also like being very praised for like a certain look or a certain illusion that you are capable of expressing. So it's very, very creative and artistic sometimes for some people. And it is about the realm of illusions and the realm of doing well via illusion. And for some reason, yeah, I'm also seeing or feeling art and music and taste and style, and being cool and being kind of like witnessed or noticed as somebody that one may not necessarily be, is also part of that spectrum. So like the worst case scenario is, yeah, you're looking to each side of your life, and you're realizing that you don't really have anything or anybody anymore, that everything is starting to falter or shade away. So if you can imagine, what would you do without it? So for example, your partner has relied on you to play a role, and the minute you don't want to play that role, you're no longer wanted in a situation. Get rid of it. Maybe you don't necessarily have to walk away from the relationship, because I understand that it's hard, for example, when there's children and like a whole family tree involved. I'm not telling you to just like, quit your family. But sometimes you have to take a step out, take a step back, and just try to see the world in a different way. Have you got something that is taking your time and energy? Have you got somebody that is telling you that you will not be able to be somebody? Is there also a thought pattern within yourself that is protecting you from raising to the next level? Like, oh, I'm just not good at this. I don't really know if I could handle it. I don't think I got the guts to do it. I don't really think of myself in this way. So all of this stalling and keeping back. Also, there are other lives we want to live, and other vibrations we want to have. So there could be a what if moment, like, what if I'm meant to be a Hollywood star? What if I'm meant to travel all my life? What if I'm meant to buy a caravan, or I don't know, like live in the woods? What if I'm meant to be somebody? So all of these very, very sparkly ideas, I do definitely understand. It's very, very young and juvenile to think of this today. And for a lot of people, depending on where you are in the world, it is about growth, and it's about health, and it's about being there and keeping there, and actually having adequate health and adequate skills to be able to hack the life that you're living. So I have full respect for people that are asking, like, from the most practical point of view, like, what am I doing? And then of course, yeah, for certain people, not for everybody, but there is like a faraway dream that you might actually not be living because you are too glad. So it kind of depends on your story. It depends on how you've been living all your life. It depends on your ancestry. It depends on which way you're going to go. This really depends on your individual situation, because Dragon Year is about individuality, and it's starting to like slowly kick in now. Individual choices, and sometimes very rude and ruckus choices, to be able to balance and catch all of those ideas, catch all of those frequencies, to be able to ride that wave, and to really live and to feel your life. So like a lot of it is just about this. It is also about endings. It is definitely about giving back to somebody else what you've taken from them. In certain situations, it is really, really good to have a circle of prayers, or to even put on some mantras, or go to a church or any kind of community ground to be able to shed a lot of pain and fear. You know, so for example, there was just the Orthodox Christmas, which is actually really well aligned with this particular moon. The Christmas celebrations are on 7th of January. So like there are all of these different lives, there's all of these different likelihoods. The base point is to have your own mentality and to have your own wisdom about things and to have your own wits and your own smarts. If you cannot get yourself aligned and organized, usually it's because you're bombarded with something or somebody else. People are coming to you, asking you questions. You have to take care of a family or loved one. You have to constantly do things. You have to fix things. You have to patch up your life, do errands. You have to dig your feet into the sand. You've got to dig your feet into the ground, trying to stand tall, trying to stand strong in the vibration that you have chosen yourself. Sometimes it's not actually who we are. It's not really what we do. It's just people want us to be in a certain place, and that's the drawback of rabbit ear. Conformity inevitably breeds contempt, because people understand, they get it. I don't actually have to have this job. I don't have to experience this life. I don't have to have these wounds. It's just that it's being kind of brought into my life by these other people, or these pseudo realities that I've woven around somebody else's ideas of who I am. And like to get attention, or to get a place at somebody's table, or to be able to coexist alongside somebody else, I had to mute myself. I had to become more lazy. I had to become more subdued, or I had to become more critical, or I had to be more of this or more of that. So compromises are very, very hard to see. And then there is this flamboyant, laughy, jokey, crazy side of Capricorn that comes out and says, oh my God. And sometimes it's really, really rude what comes out of people's mouths. And it's really, really crazy what comes up in their minds. They're like, look at this, this is stupid, So if you have a sudden warrior outburst, or warrior alert, and you recognize that you've been hard done, and it's not necessarily about the governments and the 1% and the 99%. I'm not talking about this stuff. I'm talking about just like people and communities, and what happens when we try to tie our lives together with somebody else's. Or this is what happens when we really, really want to be our own best friend, and also answer to the different domineering frequencies that were ruling our lives since we were children. And it's also, yeah, a big job to unpack this now, because we only have 2 days. But if you do have a few hours, maybe you could do it very easily in one day, understanding why you are submitting, why you are taking care of something that you shouldn't take care of, why you are taking the long way around, why are you doing things in a subdued, submissive kind of way. What for did you allow somebody to infiltrate your life or your consciousness? Why did you delete your program or delete your options for the sake of something or somebody else? If you want, you can go through these themes of power and disempowerment, also coming back to your school years and how you were treated by adults when you were young. What did they form for you? What did they respect you for? What did they imagine for you as a child? And how come, like, also certain settings are not there now? What did you choose? And how did you become chosen in society? What has society given to you, chosen for you? How did you eventually learn to play your game? And also, what did you do it all for? Now, this is really, really hard. Sometimes we have a lot of, not necessarily unconscious, but like pre-planned behavior. Like, I was going to get this, and then I was going to do this, and then I was going to become this, and then after this I was planning that and that. And planning is really, really fast to see here. Premeditated decisions, decisions made to manipulate a situation. For example, saving money in a certain way, investing in that which you don't believe in because you wanted to, how can I say, so sorry, my ear's not very comfortable with this headphone today. Yeah, like things like that. So for example, you wanted marriage, but you didn't expect that person to really be like the love of your life, for example, but the marriage was more interesting than true love. Or for example, you wanted to get some money from a venture, and you did or you didn't, and then you understand that you inside were trying to manipulate the situation. So manipulation and wanting to be manipulated, wanting to be subdued, that's really, really strong. So keep young, you guys. You don't have to take this. This would definitely put some gray hairs on your head. This whole situation, this evolution of what manipulation is, what money is, staying back, sitting back, trying to make sure things make sense, trying to make things match, doing what the elders want you to do, making sure that they're happy first, like that your boss is happy and then you second, or you last, making sure that your mother or father agree to your plans. Making sure that somebody else gets to see you as that which you are to them. So, for example, having a pat on the back or a big hug or a kiss or a special word might be so precious to some people that have very low idea of who they are. So sometimes people would do anything for that extra attention here. Are you one of those people? This might come out really, really strong. For example, you want somebody else to love you so much that you would do anything for them, or just to get that loving word, you would like cross rivers, you would climb mountains, you would do way more. And it's good to understand now, where are you serving somebody else, or where you're serving a certain mission that makes you feel like you're a hero, that makes you heal that childhood wound. Like, for example, you may never have wanted to do what you're doing, but you thought this would heal your childhood, or this would help your future. So doing it for the young person inside you, doing it for the next version of you, doing it for your elders, doing it for your children, trying to make sense of a situation. Sometimes it's really obvious to see where you have planned things, and not always, but sometimes this works and there's no other way out. So sometimes there is quite a big Pandora's box. Like, I'm sort of kind of inviting you to enter this Pandora's box of thought as to why does anything happen in life and why do you need to do anything at all. So you enter this Pandora's box and then you work it out and you figure it out. Wow, that was a fake idea. That was not true. That was not true. That was not real. And it's like, who are we? Who am I? But in certain cases, for example, if you've been brought up in a really, really closed society that has been functioning this way for thousands of years, for example, you being part of a Muslim family or a Hindu family, you have a very, very special way that you've been raised, and there is no other way. There is no other way. I'm not asking you to change your life. I'm just telling you that, yeah, getting a bit hot under the collar right now. Yeah, there are other ways, and there are other lives, and there are other worlds. Yeah, even for somebody who's being raised super strictly and feel like they've got absolutely no way then to appease their community and their family line, there is going to be another way. And there's going to be a lot of wake up calls. Now, if we're going to the opposite spectrum of super free, like being super free, super fresh, doing crazy stuff, nothing is stopping you. But there are also strange feelings that I'm getting about this. There's a lot of fine print. So, for example, like, say you want it so bad not to happen. You want it so bad not to have this tied up life. You don't want to have these facts in your face. You don't want to have these bills, in your mailbox. You don't want to have these people at your table. You don't want to play. So this is when it happens. This like Fight Club. I'm not sure. I reference this movie a lot. I think it's a great film. It's like Fight Club. You're like, I don't understand it. It's like, I don't really understand where I'm going to go from here. Like, I don't get it. I don't get nervous about my life anymore or anything. It's just like, I really can't imagine carrying on in this direction. Like, when it's so heavy and it's so fast that this realization might come through, you need to talk to somebody. Probably it would probably be best to say something to somebody, just hint like, I'm in trouble, or I don't really enjoy the way that I'm living, or what I'm structuring and what I'm taking care of is not really about me. It's about them, or it's about him or her. It's actually not at all who I am inside. Like, I'm not doing anything for me here. I'm just like plugged in like a battery. Help, help, help. It's like the Matrix, the batteries, it's like harvested. That kind of feeling. So I'm not telling you that necessarily this is happening to you, but for some people, definitely there is a feeling of not living an authentic, absolutely like 100% alpha type of life, definitely. And then, like, basically, what we have to do is be very serene and try to swerve, like take the decision to the other side. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not taking care of this anymore. I'm not making this my job anymore. This is not my job. This is not my center point. I'm not taking myself to that limit. But yeah, for some people, there is going to be drink and drugs and recreational activities and frivolousness because they don't understand how to put any color into the grayness of their world. And I get you. But then there's also this other factor that could be happening during this time. And this is the factor that I talk about a little bit in my January video. People are trying too hard. So they always kind of knew they were sort of limited. Like you see this a lot with people that know that they're limited. For example, they find it very hard to form relationships that last or that mean anything. They find it super hard and super weird to live with insufficient funds, like physical, financial funds. They have no job, no focus. They don't have anybody to please, anybody to really talk to. They're kind of like nowhere. Like if you put their life together, this is really big. Yeah, I'm not bullying you. I'm just telling you. Okay, Moon is conjunct Sun, of course, new Moon in Capricorn. This is really important stuff. Mars is going into Capricorn as well. He's in the first 4 degrees. So this is very, very important stuff. You know, so it's like people have no closure. They have no method. They are inept, they are unable, they have no job, for example, or they have no real consciousness, or they have no real connections. They don't have anybody. So if you walked out of rabbit ear and you get it, wow, I have nobody, I have nothing. It's a rare person, but sometimes basically when a person doesn't have enough and doesn't want to feel innocent about that and understand, wow, I have nothing else but this or that, they use mania to get attention. So, for example, a person that's really wanting to speak to you and that really wants to touch you and like sensually, emotionally kind of seduce you into conversation. People that are really using like their bodies or their flavor or their art or their ideas or their dreams, and they're starting to kind of like not necessarily scream, but they're wanting to stand out and captivate a person. Like, for example, a person that's fighting hard to get that client, really hard, like chatting people up to get clients or chatting people up to get money. You really see it. It's really transparent. Somebody's trying to lure you into a special little corner of the world and never let you go. Being lured. Also becoming plastic very fast. Like, for example, somebody lures you into their life to basically eat you or to use something that you have as a resource or to make themselves feel better, which is also kind of like a resourceful way of getting energy and feeling attractive. And this could also be about sex, this could be about personalities, this could be about anything, schmoozing, the social game. It's like the 1960s or the 1920s or the 1940s, you know, like the social game is big right now. And people are going so far. They're really like taking it the extra mile. And sometimes people are putting all their eggs into their basket, sometimes not so much, but they're like, also, this is a very naive place to be. Like, for example, using social media or using some kind of sensual or emotional schmoozing to try and get inside other people's lives. That's not very healthy, but you basically need to be aware. If you are somebody who doesn't do that and you're not very well versed in seduction, like you don't use seduction for your own life, you need to get yourself out of that situation. If you're being cornered by a person that wants physical fulfillment, sexual fulfillment, emotions, if they're trying to grab at you for something that you have, if they think that you have something that they don't have, if they want to offer you something, for example, they're offering you time or advice, or they're saying, oh, I can manage your business for you, but you look at the fine print, it's really freaking expensive. I've just had to dodge one of these bullets. A couple of these bullets actually. Yeah, come around, this is fine. Yeah, sure, everything's fine. You come over, you come around, and you very quickly realize that you've been milked. So it could be milked for attention, for energy, for money, for friendships, for contacts, for anything. And milking starts today. So that milking starts definitely during this time. You'll be able to witness people that don't have a foot to stand on. They don't have their own lives, but they have become very intuitive as to how somebody else works. And they're using somebody else's money, somebody else's inheritance, somebody else's place or pleasure to kind of hide and ride the coattails. Riding of the coattails, that has to be seen. Are you riding somebody else's coattails? This could be also, for example, a very adequate person. Like you have your time, you have your money, you have your personality, you have your design, you've got your job, you've got your life together, but you are telling somebody that they are so amazing so you can ride their coattails. This really, really shows. For example, you are really obsessed with somebody who has intriguing amount of goods or abundance, and you really want to connect to this person, and you're constantly thinking about this person. Riding of coattails, meeting somebody famous or meeting somebody that inspires you, even if you've got all your ducks in a row, um, you know, you get it. I've had these moments as well during this particular time, even building up to this moon. It's a very, very hard yard to get rid of that. So, for example, if you're constantly looking for guru, for daddy, for mommy, for somebody to sponsor you or fund you, even if you have everything, even if you are fully equipped, there are certain people that never have enough. Even if they have a wonderful house, they want one with 3 more bedrooms and a big pool. Even if they have a wonderful job, they want something better paid. Even if they have a wonderful person next to them, they're still looking out for number one elsewhere. So that's also very, very amazing that this happens. And at times, I also feel that aspect of like wanting something more is great. Still something's still cooking. Like I'm not relaxing. I'm still going to look at how I'm going to get that next level of life. That's also very sexy right now, sometimes very brilliant. But if you actually look at the crux of this, it's not necessarily that it's guilt or it's greed or anything. It's not just greedy. It's unnecessary, and it's not very safe. Sometimes it's not very safe for other people. So, for example, if that person knew that you're only talking to them to receive a certain subsidy. If you, for example, got cornered and somebody said, hey, I know you've been making eyes at my man, or I know that you've been making, for example, eyes at this person trying to get their place or trying to get into the clique. That's really, really strong, and that's really built in. So let's talk a little bit about social life and social behavior. That's really, really possible to change today. You just have to understand the inner workings of it. So, for example, we've been raised in a certain place in society, and a lot of it is marketing. A lot of it is like, hi, how's it going? Oh wow, I love your dress. Wow. Like if you have been raised in these parts of the world where people are just walking talking dolls, and they're constantly delivering each other compliments and messages that don't mean anything, and they're schmoozing each other to the point where it's almost this energy just licking. It's like this energy and this aura of like greed. It's greed is so high, and people are so far in there, and they really want to get the most from schmoozing and saying, oh wow, I love you, you're so wonderful, wow, or people that really bully each other and push each other, initiate each other socially. And they also can get very aggressive. Sometimes there's 4 or 5 different faces to a person, which is really hard to see, and they don't want to let go of either one of these faces. And basically they're pressuring you, or they're connecting you, they're like enticing you, they're playing little games with you. So it's not actually necessary to be a part of this. But I just want to like tell you that this is actually one of the better times to make sure that you don't involve and invest in these things. Also, I've been taking time off. So from the 23rd of December, I haven't really, I have gone out, but I've really tried to keep out of all of this like hullabaloo, and I'm sure if you watch my videos enough, you know that about me. I will just not participate in any of this holiday shebang. I don't do it. Maybe also for you, it's good to witness, like, for example, if you have spent the last few weeks in this kind of like, oh my God, this is so wonderful, I'm so happy, like all of this stuff, where people really like take that mask, or they're like, I don't know, like, they have different masks. Every single mask is there for a certain type of organized collective thought, pushing brands or pushing any kind of idea or pushing agendas like social politics, sorry, public politics, anything like that. So if you look at it, here's the thing: you got a job to do, or you got money to save, or you got ideas to generate. You don't have any time for this. You don't have maybe even any respect, because it's getting very common So people also learning from social media celebrities and things how to pretend they're not who they are. So all of this is becoming normal and natural. It's actually kind of interesting, like a weird thought. So I lived most of my life in New Zealand, and I know what a New Zealand accent is, right? Mine is not entirely New Zealand; it's like a mix between different ones. But I was watching the news after the floods last year, and it's interesting because I saw the anchors on the news channel, and they looked completely different from the anchors that I remember when I used to live in New Zealand back in like 2011, 2010. Like their accents are different. How they hold themselves together and how they talk and how they structure words is so different. It's interesting because these things they're catching, like the way that a person represents themselves, how they measure like what they're saying, how they're doing what they're doing, and it's not natural. It's not nurturing. It's all part of a certain type of social game. And if you really realized how much of our timeline these days in the modern world, especially if you are not new, obviously, to social media and the internet, we spend participating unbeknownst to ourselves to these little social games, you would be very, very uncomfortable. And also to see what they bring and where things belong. And it's also very good. I know that it's a long video now, it's on 30 minutes now, but it might be good to lay back and have a look. I've been doing this a lot. Maybe you have quite a lot of social media friends, online friends, people that you know, also demographical groups that you're trying to appeal to. So if you're a young person and you want to look really, really like fitting for a certain demographical spectrum, that's going to become very, very obvious. And also, if you have a lot of friends that belong in a certain circle, and then you really, really want to fulfill the same role in society, you want to fulfill the same little nooks and crannies of like how the social world works. We are now in Capricorn. It's the sign before Aquarius. Aquarius is the public. So in a sense, you have to kind of like get good at you. And I can see how people would even put their studies on the line, they would put their time on the line, everything just to kind of like get into this nook and cranny, just to make sure, that they can exist in this world of fakery. And the worst situation is that people get so good at it, they don't even know that they're doing it. And they're always on, and they're always going on. And it's always like, it's always a sale. It's always like, let me tell you something. It's like, buy from me, like, and every single person maybe you see to a degree starts doing that as well. So this is kind of like an almost pseudo-mechanical place pattern that makes me feel like kind of I don't know, it honestly makes me feel very young and free because I know that I have a door and I can always escape. So like if you also, I'm sorry, if you're really deep in this, like understand what it got you. And this is something that I've been working on a lot in myself and also the different people that come to me. I actually have a pattern of young women coming to me, and men sometimes too, that have been portraying themselves a certain way and living in a certain demographic, and now it's kind of like they have no future. It doesn't feel like they have a future. And we've been working on trying to surface parts of their genuine presence to be able to get strong and to also to be able to get real genuine support from their family and friends, and to get united with people that are also genuine people on a genuine level. So they're not bartering themselves. So they're not constantly selling who they are. So they're not constantly putting themselves into an unnatural submissive place. Because you see, when a human being is constantly talking like this or doing that, and like as part of their worth or part of their job here, they don't care to see this, but there's another side. So if there's this, there's also this. So there are all of these different fractals that we don't understand about ourselves, and we feel that we don't belong. We don't want to be here. Everything is annoying. Everything is like too much. It's overwhelming, and sometimes the mask is the only thing that counts. So, how not to get there? How not to become a complacent, unrelatable character that's only there for like a few minutes to sell you something? There is like a lot of care that's needed, and maybe a lot of kindness, and for certain people a lot of tears. So for example, if you have a young daughter or son that has obviously become a masked person, so like all of their impulses, all of their energy is kind of extraterrestrial to you, recognizing now that that person isn't going to be able to understand what you're saying to them unless you're doing something that they want. If this person is recognizing you only for your physical external appearance, no, they cannot see how you are feeling, they cannot feel anything. It's really, really important. It's up to you as a parent or a guide to that person to give them something to help them leave that place. So it's important, especially for children. Now is a time where everybody is kind of feeling like there is something really, really important going on in life, or there is like a certain type of energy increase. And Dragon is going to be an overwhelming increase in the next even 5 to 6 years. So how not to be like this, how not to become a robot, how not to become just like a picture or like just a video, like a cartoon character. How not to make your child by accident be that as well. If you are as a parent incredibly intrigued by social media and external appearances. Yeah, so I mean, it's a big question, it's a big job, and I know that most people are not interested in hearing it because they don't understand how they would survive unless they became this toy. And it's also good for us people to notice where that comes from and where it leads. Unnatural behaviors, excessive obsession with fashion, obsession with plastic surgery, obsession with vulgar cultures, shock factor cultures, trying to have a shock factor all the time, trying to be somebody that one cannot be, unsustainable futures, unsustainable like house planning, making homes that don't match the person's lifestyle, bringing in people into the family that don't match the family trio, that have nothing to hold on to, having graveyards of projects and ideas that don't mean anything, and also becoming eventually as an adult more and more infertile. And infertile in what for is because nothing syncs, nothing is naturally coherent. Everything is pretend, everything is made of rubber. And that means that we have to come together, maybe sometimes as a tribe or a team, and start to revise where we have not got anything coming, but we think we do, where we think we're going to have something growing where there's nothing. And also to understand how other people are and how they talk and walk, not necessarily to be in judgment. It's not about making team number one and team whatever. It's not about now who's on my team. Although for some people, for the sake of preservation, maybe cultural or, I don't know, social ideologies, yeah, in certain cases it might actually get like that. It's not about this necessarily. It's also about like caring for those other people that don't have anything, they have no freaking idea, and they have not been able to be sustained by this world, and also not criticizing them, but removing one's energy, removing one's feelings from that. Also, if you notice, for example, a certain comedic experience, now it's the moment of truth, it's the time of truth, you will notice, you get it. We have Hygeia next to Saturn. Hygeia is curiosity. You get it. It's like research curiosity. You get it. You understand it. It's like when that person like looks at you and you're melting inside, but they're losing. Sorry, they're using you, or they're using that look for every person that they meet. Like you think like, wow, this is such a humble and gentle idea, or wow, this layer of society is so humble and gentle. When you go inside the soil, when you really look, you look it in the face, you look at what is going on, you will get another idea. You'll be like, stop it. So for example, this is very good for dating. Classic event, when you are sitting with somebody and they're using all the tricks in the book. They've got a little book of tricks and they're using everything. And when you see that you are not the one that they're using these tricks on, even there's been like, I don't know, 40 different people that have been under that spell, that really makes you feel silly. It's like stepping into a trap. So I'm not telling you necessarily that people are traps, but there is a certain public behavior and a certain grouping, that may in itself evolve you through contraption and through disregard for your spirit and your soul and your actual lifespan, and also disrespect of your future. The disrespect of your future. So thank you very much. Enjoy, and I hope that you regain yourselves and you see the true qualities of your life, so that you can put everything together better. And everything's in the links below. I'll see you next time.